He ruled on one of the most historic cases ever handed down in Pennsylvania. Judge John Jones struck down the state's same-sex marriage ban in May.
It is very rare for a federal judge to do interviews, but Judge Jones recently spoke with News 8's Susan Shapiro about what went into his decision and his role on the federal bench. I sat down with Judge John Jones in his chambers in the federal building with its expansive view of Harrisburg. He says he believes the federal judiciary is the least understood branch of government.
We don't rule to please benefactors. We don't rule to make the person, for example, who appointed us happy. We rule in a way that is responsive to the Constitution, to the Bill of Rights, to the laws.
It was strictly the Constitution, the judge says, guided his ruling, overturning the same-sex marriage ban in Pennsylvania.
Certainly public opinion didn't drive the decision.
He says the ban clearly violated two provisions of the 14th Amendment, equal protection and a fundamental right to marriage that has always been there.
What I said in the opinion was that as far as a fundamental right to same-sex marriage, it was always there, sort of hiding in plain sight.
How much were you aware that your decision and opinion would be historic?
I knew that it would be a noteworthy opinion because of the nature of the issue. But if you burden yourself with that thought as you're attempting to decide a case or craft a case, it really doesn't get you anywhere.
He says he doesn't think the U.S. Supreme Court anticipated how fast and how many cases would come after it declared the federal DOMA unconstitutional, but avoided the question of a national right to same-sex marriage.
As a citizen, not as a judge, you know, I think there's a generational cut on this issue.
The strong reaction to the legalization of same-sex marriage in Pennsylvania was what the judge expected. But he bristles when he hears some question why one judge would get to make the decision.
So one judge heard it because that's the way the system works. And for people who know better, and I'm talking about, frankly, some elected officials and public figures, to say that I arrogated power and took it upon myself to hear this case really grossly misrepresents the way that the system works.
The 39-page ruling is written in rather plain language. A conscious decision by Judge Jones. He admits to interjecting personal opinion in the conclusion, including a now well-known line: "We are a better people than what these laws represent, and it is time to discard them into the ash heap of history."
I plead guilty. I think that's a license that you can take at the end of an opinion, but it didn't drive the analysis in the opinion.
When you wrote that final line in the conclusion, were you including yourself?
Yes. As an enlightened nation that adheres to the rule of law, we need to give some thought to these things. And that deliberate capstone on the opinion was meant to include the writer and not just the reader of the readers of the opinion.
In Harrisburg, Susan Shapiro, News 8.
Judge Jones says he was prepared for the governor's office to argue for a stay after his decision. Since the governor decided not to appeal, that never happened. But late this afternoon, the U.S. Supreme Court rejected an appeal to the ruling that legalized same-sex marriage in Pennsylvania. The Register of Wills in Schuylkill County, Teresa Santi-Gaffney, appealed to get the High Court to throw out the ruling.
The News 8 storm team is in action again, watching the potential for storms. News 8's chief meteorologist Joe Calhoun is next.